Hello chess friends and welcome to Jozarov chess channel and welcome back to chess.com Speed Chess Championship in 2023. We're now in the last game of the spectacular and epic match between the two legends, between the goats of blitz and bullet chess, between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura. Before the last bullet round, Magnus Carlsen had 13 points, Hikaru Nakamura had 12 points, which meant now in the last bullet game, in the last 1+1 game, Hikaru Nakamura had to now win the game with the black pieces against Magnus Carlsen. Let's see now what happened. It was such a spectacular roller coaster with many tactics, with many brutal opportunities, with missed chances, with blunders, mistakes, inaccuracies. But this is bullet chess, in my opinion. Really a beautiful ending of a beautiful chess tournament. So let's see now what happened with the white pieces. Magnus opened with the move e4. Hikaru's response was e5, knight to f3, and after knight to c6 here, Magnus spiced it up a little bit with the move knight to c3, maybe going into also into ideas of the Scotch opening, maybe into the Italian opening. And here probably Hikaru knows that Magnus is the master of classical opening, so that's why Hikaru spiced it up a little bit here with this so-called Steinitz defense with the move g6. We have to say this is not the optimal way here to proceed, but Hikaru has to play like this. Hikaru had to now win his game, and he tried probably to mess up somehow maybe Magnus Carlsen preparation. He tried to, I don't know, create unbalanced position in which maybe Magnus is not so familiar. So that's why interesting choice, but I think also a realistic choice to somehow at least create some unbalanced position and try to even create some winning chances with the black pieces. So here Magnus proceeds, of course, with normal ideas d4. We have e takes d4, knight to d4, bishop to d7, bishop to e3. So we have so far battle around the square d4, knight from g to e7, and now after move queen to d2. Here the optimal way and the most often way is to play the move d5. You play this idea to break and enter with move d5. But the problem for black with this move d5 is that you actually are simplifying the game a little bit, because many pieces will be traded off, and top GMs like Magnus, I think, will not mess this position up. So that's why, understandable again, I think this move by Hikaru, he plays now the move d6, which is again not the optimal way, but I think here Hikaru still wants to play this move. It's not a mistake or something that he's doing. He's trying, as I said, somehow just to spice up the game against Magnus Carlsen in order to create at least some kind of a winning chance. So Magnus Carlsen's queenside, we have h6, we have bishop to e2, and again another maybe I would say inaccurate but progressive sort of move by Hikaru Nakamura. He again wants to get Magnus probably out of prep by playing this move, and here Magnus doesn't react correctly. He should have probably played here knight takes e6, because after f takes e6 you make simple attacks, you make simple threats here with bishop to g4. If you play queen to d7, then this one is very dangerous. Knight to d5, there are even some threats of bishop takes e6 followed with knight to c7. In order to defend this, you have to play wild ideas like king to f7 even in some lines. So as I said, this was the way to go here. It's almost like the whole concept of Hikaru Nakamura would have been busted with this setup here. But unfortunately for Magnus, he played now the move rook to e1, which was really the first inaccuracy here by Magnus. We have queen to d7 by Hikaru. Now he gets again the queen connected to the bishop. If you take now, then you don't have to mess up the structure. You have still good chances. So here we have knight to c6 by Magnus. Knight takes c6, knight to d5, and this is now a powerful knight. What Magnus is trying to do is, of course, make also something out of this 4 versus 3 pawn majority on the king side. But Hikaru Nakamura plays first a6, and now after move f4, here Hikaru says, okay, you can attack the king side where you have the advantage, but now I'll castle out of your attack. And basically, when we think about this position, okay, white is better because of the spaces and because of this powerful knight, but the only advantage that I think here white is only the knight here on d5. Nothing spectacular that white is here, although Hikaru Nakamura played, I think, a dubious opening line, but nothing spectacular that Magnus Carlsen gained so far in the beginning. So bishop to f3, controlling the knight on d5, further maybe in some lines trying even progressive ideas with the move e5. We have king to b8, king to b1, both players are now improving the position of the king. Rook from h to e8, and now after move bishop to f2 by Magnus. Here Hikaru Nakamura had, I think, a decent chance to break and enter with move f5, simply deflecting the pawn from the defense of this annoying, really unpleasant knight on d5. But here after move bishop to f2, here Hikaru played now rook to c8, and here you have good chances with queen to e3. Look at this, you're trying maybe somehow to deflect the knight. That's the issue, because you have taken also a natural square for your king to escape. Now queen to e3 with knight to b4, deflecting the knight, and maybe deliver checkmate here on a7 is also a nice idea. But Magnus now makes a huge blunder, which gives here again Hikaru Nakamura great chances now in the game, because after move bishop to h4, the bishop is not attacking anything. Okay, there is maybe the weakness on f6, but now Hikaru can breathe again suddenly with this move knight to d4, and this is the way to go. Here Magnus, I think, messed up the whole position. Magnus has now also to worry about this powerful knight on d4. In the game, knight to f6, another blunder here by Magnus, which gives now a beautiful tactical opportunity for Hikaru, and Hikaru didn't miss it. He played now bishop to f6, bishop takes f6, knight takes f3, g takes f3, everything is forced, and now a beautiful tactic, bishop takes a2. Really cool tactics. We have to admit it here, this is bullet chess, and Hikaru sees this kind of a tactic. Really wild stuff. The problem here, of course, is after king takes a2, you got this one, queen to e6, and then you lose the bishop. Black gained the pawn, and I think in top GM level, this could be a winning position for Hikaru. That's why Magnus relied now on a simple idea here. He admitted, I messed it up, but at least I'll create now draw chances by keeping the opposite color bishops on the board. Many times opposite color bishops in a potential endgame are simply a draw, so that's why Magnus is trying, as I said, to keep them on the board, where maybe if you could just imagine this position without the queens, without the rooks on the board, this should be probably still a drawish position, although black is up a whole pawn. So that's why a very good move here by Magnus. He messed it up, but you have to sometimes also consider here the psychology of chess. You got a tactical shot, and then you get back into the game. You have to again get somehow on your foot, because as I said, here I think many of us would take out the bishop and go into a messed up endgame. Here Magnus Carlsen is at least trying to keep his chances by playing this opposite color bishop's middle game. So here bishop to e6 by Hikaru, h4, we have queen to b5, queen to d3. So see, Magnus is trying now to get the fully endgame stage, where we have only the opposite colored bishops on the game. We have queen to a5, we have queen to c3, again with the same plan. Queen to a1 doesn't bring you so much, because we get simply out of the attack. You have to again play with the queen, then we play king to c1, but this is not enough for Hikaru. He has to, as we said, win the game. We have queen to c3, we have queen to h5. After we move b3, now comes a very strange idea here by Hikaru. He played now the move king to a8, and this was really unnecessary, because what Hikaru should have played is a simple plan with the move b6, king to b7, and then you launch the pawn with, I don't know, a5, a4. You're trying to get rid of this b pawn that's holding the whole position in front of white's king. This was the way to go. But again, even with the move king to a8, still black is perfectly fine. But as I said, it's of course very easy to speak for me here when I analyze this game with top engines, but maybe, as I said, b6, then king to b7, at least you're keeping the attacking flow. Here Magnus played king to b2, improved simply the position of the king, and now another bad move here by Hikaru. He played on move queen to b5. The problem about this move is that Magnus, believe me or not, saw a beautiful tactical move which solves basically every positional problem now of the game, and it's the beautiful h5 move. Really wild stuff. But the problem for Magnus was here, he didn't play the best follow-up. Here, for instance, if you play here something like, I don't know, g takes h5, then we have f5, we kick away the bishop, and look at this. You have to step back. We have to now play rook to h1, and we'll pick up both of these pawns. You cannot even compete here on the h file, because the bishop is holding this position on dark squares. Really strange position here. After move h5, Hikaru, that's why I took now with the queen, but now Magnus Carlsen should have played the brilliant f5. Unfortunately for Magnus, he didn't play this one. But look at this, what happens. After move f5, you take, we hit the queen. You have to step back. We hit the queen again. Again, we hit the queen. Look at this. The queen is quartered on h8. Now you play a beautiful windmill tactic. You play queen to g8. Again, we attack the queen. Now we can pick up the pawn on h6. e5 can be played. So I think here, white should be even slightly better. Really wild stuff. So This was the potential continuation, but after move queen to h5, Magnus played rook to h1, allowed here Hikaru Nakamura to get back into the game, and now the whole idea with a5 and a4 is working. But imagine if Hikaru wouldn't have played the move that we have talked about, the move king to a8 in the first place. Imagine if his king would be already on b7 and he has played already maybe the move b6, then a5, a4 would be, I think, devastating to handle here for white. That's why I really didn't like this move king to a8 by Hikaru Nakamura. He could have really had progressive ideas already. He could have been already on the attacking side with maybe even the move on a4 already. So really, really wild stuff. So here Magnus took now the pawn. You cannot also lose too many pawns in opposite color bishops endgames, because if you lose too many of them, then although these are many times drawish position, but maybe with two more pawns, then suddenly it could be a winning idea then for black. So here Hikaru finally commits his plan. Now he goes into this most aggressive line with a5, a4, and this is the way to go. We have rook to g1, not maybe the best move, queen to d3. Here Magnus maybe should have simply relied on his main strategy that we have talked about, trading off more pieces, going into fully endgame stage, and hope for a draw, of course. Yeah, after move queen to d3, I think probably again Hikaru would have simply retreated and then continue with this normal plan with a4. But at least you annoy here black with the potential trades of queens. So here rook to g1, really not a good move here by Magnus. Now Hikaru plays this idea. Look at this b6, rook to g5, c5. We have rook to h2, and now a4. Imagine, as I said, if Hikaru would have already had this king on b7, now he would be already much faster in his attack. Rook to d2 by Magnus. We have a takes b3, c takes b3, king to b7. Now comes this plan, really wild stuff. So we have rook to d6. Who cares about his pawn? Now Hikaru has great winning chances with this concept. Rook to a8, really good position now for Hikaru, and now c4 is also a very devastating move to handle. So here f5 by Magnus Carlsen, and now this was the crucial mistake. This was not a good move. Again, maybe to play queen to d3, again on the same strategy, trying, as I said, to force a trade of queens. But probably again queen to a5, very unpleasant to handle. But f5 is even worse, because what Hikaru should have done here is simply to play the move g takes f5. If you play here e takes f5, suddenly the e file gets open. This wasn't Hikaru's continuation, but look at this, how crazy the position is. E file is now opened. You play, of course, here e takes f5, but now the stunning tactic is bishop takes b3. You cannot pick it up here because rook to e2 is winning the game on spot. Very crazy position. But unfortunately for Hikaru, he played queen to f1. Still a good continuation. Still black is much better, but this other continuation was I think more progressive for black. So after move queen to f1, we have f takes e6, and now I don't know what happened, but Hikaru Nakamura played rook to a1. Immediately winning idea would be here queen to a1. You have to play something like king to c2. Now this rook is coming into the game, and this is again an unpleasant position. We have many check possibilities. So devastating, messed up game here for Magnus Carlsen. But unfortunately here, a huge blunder by Hikaru. Rook to a1. Maybe he wanted to include this other rook into the game, but here Magnus had the immediate opportunity to deliver this really brutal check. Rook to b6, and everyone was screaming, the commentators were really screaming when this could have happened. Rook to b6 would be even the winning idea here for Magnus. Look at this, king to b6, now we play queen to c5, now we play another check, bishop comes into the game, and suddenly black is lost. But Magnus, believe me or not, played now the move queen to c2. Another blunder, which gave again Hikaru Nakamura the immediate opportunity to seal the game with the move rook to a2. This is now the winning move. You decoy the king now, we deliver a check. Now when the king is here, even queen to a1 is a beautiful checkmate. But Hikaru Nakamura played rook from a to e8, and here from this point on, Magnus Carlsen saw, of course, now the continuation. He played now rook to d7, first the check, and after king to c5. Now comes again the same idea, rook to c5, similar tactic we have seen before. We have b takes c5, rook to c7. Here we have king to c7, after queen to c5, king to b7, queen to d5, another check, and after queen to e5. Here Magnus Carlsen offered a draw, and Hikaru Nakamura accepted, because Magnus is of course completely satisfied with the outcome of this game if it ends with a draw, because Magnus is then the winner and Hikaru Nakamura accepted it, because if you don't accept it then you run into a forced checkmate sequence with the beautiful bishops and queens activity, and the game would be then over. So fair also decision by Magnus Carlsen to give here Hikaru Nakamura the opportunity to at least play a draw, because Hikaru Nakamura was much better in this game, had many winning chances, but unfortunately he messed it up. But this was an epic, brutal, really spectacular match that we have seen now today. And I think that's the thing that Magnus Carlsen was many times talking about, that he wants simply to change a little bit the rules of this games, that he wants to include more, I don't know, blitz, rapid, bullet games into even the World Chess Championships. And I completely agree with him, because if you have followed now this whole chess.com speed chess championship now through the year, and maybe also the other before, this were always the most popular events. And I think the viewers should decide what kind of a tournament they want to see, because I think the Speed Chess Championship is now even more viewed than maybe the World Chess Championship match between Nepo and Dingler that we have seen. That's, I think, a thing that Magnus Carlsen wants to change in the chess community, because this was really dynamic, this was epic. It was almost like you're watching, I don't know, NBA finals or something, because you have many ups and downs. Sometimes you're down 10 points, but you can maybe shoot 3-pointers and then you get back into the game. That's exactly what happened today. Magnus Carlsen was in the lead, then Hikaru was in the lead, Magnus took over and similar stuff. So it was really a beautiful roller coaster, and that's, I think, a thing that viewers want to see. And that could be maybe not the same scenario, but a similar scenario we could see also in some World Chess Championship matches. So, okay, nevertheless, Magnus is now the deserved winner of this amazing, spectacular super final. He's now the winner of the Speed Chess Championship in 2023. Congratulations to Magnus. Another beautiful tournament for Magnus. He has now won many, again, events in this year. Again, he's simply the GOAT of chess. So, okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. If you want to see also another game that we have analyzed today, please check out also the link here. You can, I think, also see a beautiful, spectacular winning game by Hikaru Nakamura. He played really beautiful queen sacrifice against Magnus Carlsen. Really spectacular game. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say? Chess is the best, of course.